You know, I was going to talk about matchups today because I have a lot of thoughts about how I approach learning a matchup. Like, for instance, yesterday I was playing against Kid Viper, right? So I had a set against KB, and I don't know the Gold Lewis matchup, right? The only time I've ever played against Gold Lewis is playing the mirror, and both of us are kind of just swinging, right, and doing our best. So yesterday was me playing Gold Lewis Soul for the first time, and I've not really played the matchup, and I haven't played a Gold Lewis player who's like, this is their character, right? They're playing a shit ton of Gold Lewis. So when I was going into it, right, I was like, okay, how is this matchup going to work? What am I going to be looking for? And there's lots of things about the matchup that I was prepared for, and lots of things that I thought, and there's things that I expected and then were wrong as well. In a matchup like that, right, obviously Gold Lewis jumps a lot. That character, he has a really good jump button. So he's doing jump dust. It's a good move. Everybody talks about how strong it is. And my initial thought was I should just 5k anti-air it, right? I was like, okay, you know, I'm playing Soul. His 5k is a great anti-air. I'll anti-air it. So I hit 5k. And when I hit 5k, it trades pretty consistently. His jump dust did way more damage than my 5k would do. I would knock him down, right? So I'd get position, but it was like, shit, if this happens like 2-3 times, I'm losing way more life than he is on this trade. So my thought process is, okay, that's wrong. Let's go back to good old 6p. Let's try to use 6p in the matchup. And the nice thing about using 6p in my head was the range I want to stand on the screen to whiff punish Gold Lewis and like stay out of his range is the perfect range for 6p. Or so I thought. So as I was fighting him, I was trying to 6p, and sometimes 6p beat it clean, and I would get my punish and everything. But if he's slightly closer, then my 6p would lose, and I was like, fuck. So I'm like sitting there trying to 6p, and I realized, okay, I need to stand even further away if I want to 6p. But then I realized I could be preemptive in that space and hit 6p and beat run up button or run up jump. And I was like, hell yeah, okay, this is a good range for me. And then KV ran up and he was just doing like 2S or 2K or whatever and beating my fucking 6p. And then I was like, okay, that's bad. So he's just owning me there. So then I was like, I should stand slightly further away to try to 6p here. But then I was giving up so much space on the screen that my whip punishes were worse. And I was like, okay, it turns out I'm going back to 5k. I realized by the end of the set that my mindset on the matchup had completely changed. And what happened to make me do that was a couple of things. The consistency of the anti-air, right, made me think like, I should probably not even try this anymore. And the second thing is I would rather stand on the right range in neutral. And the more important thing is I realized that this matchup was about positioning. Where I am on the screen versus this character is so important. I never want to get cornered. If I get cornered, I die. So I realized that it's better for me to 5k anti-air, trade unfavorably in terms of damage, but favorably in terms of position, and get more screen space by running after the trade than it is to try to 6p sometimes and lose and get knocked down and lose the round. So like I had this back and forth brain blast about positioning and anti-airs and what I should do and all this, and none of it was set in stone. It was like all me trying to theory fight where the right range was to stand and what the right anti-air was to hit in a matchup that's new. I think a lot of people are like, I fought Gold Lewis yesterday, and he's stinky. He does too much damage. The matchup's 7-3. People are just so grumpy about losing that they have to assign a bad matchup number to it so they can justify their loss. If you can't explain where each character wants to stand and what they're trying to look for in each range and why, and like what their primary winning conditions are, clearly, I think you probably don't understand the matchup very well. There are things about it like, oh, I know how to punish this move. I know how to punish that move. I know this. Like, all that is fine, right? But I think the strategy of all of the other components of the matchup are so important. And if you don't ever think about, like, where do I want to stand? Where do they want to stand? Why do they want to stand? Why are they using this tool? Why is this tool effective? Am I making the right defensive choices? Should I challenge? Should I not challenge? What should I be doing better? What kind of pressure should I run? At what ranges or what anti-air is better or worse or why? Is this matchup a matchup where I need to fight for space? Can I give up space? Is positioning more important? Is damage more important? Like, is stability more important than scrambling? Like, if you don't think about that kind of stuff, it's very hard to take anything you say serious about the matchup number. And I don't think I know a matchup number between the two of them. A lot of matchups is feeling, I think that this is better here because of this. This is why I think this is it's like, you have to think about it, right? You got to think about it and make assessments on the situation about what seems right to you. Yeah, I lost equals matchup is bad. I won equals matchup is still bad, but I'm so good. Listen. Your brain's just too big? I guess so. That's just how you're so smart. You can figure it out in first two. When you run up and do wild throw, you're like, I calculated the signs that they were gonna block here and do this and do that and then do this, and then I read their star chart and I saw that they were a Gemini, so that on the 3rd frame of this move, I could run up and go for a throw. In our heads, we're just like, I think I'll wild throw here. Do a little bit of striking, a little bit of throwing.